Well, good morning. Much brighter Keith Hayes this morning. Boy, I didn't know that I was under the weather yesterday. I knew I wasn't feeling 100%. But I sure wasn't bubbly and I sure wasn't eager to get going. Today, I feel totally different after a good night's sleep and a little washout with more fluids than food yesterday afternoon after I left the studio. So I'm full of pepper and vinegar. See, I'm even being polite this morning. To welcome you to Mirador Television, broadcasting from the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, East Sussex, a very ancient and historic coaching inn that has seen much of the development of democracy as we know it, not only in England, but in many parts of the world. Look at those rafters above my head, because they were once above Tom Paine's head, who wrote The Rights of Man and is credited by most historians as being the man who began the American Revolution, the American War of Independence. And he lived and worked in this town, Lewes, for 9 years, and evolved a lot of his ideas in this very hotel, in this very room. I'd like to say in this very chair, but I think they've been renewed since then. But that's where we are this morning. And it's not going to be quite as hot today as it was, but it's going to be hot. So do watch yourself out there. And only a mild breeze and not a bit of a jiggle of any rain anywhere in sight. Right now, it is 20 degrees centigrade and mostly sunny. Summer. And looking ahead, it looks as if we might get a little bit of a damp day on Sunday or Monday. And then another straight run next week with clear skies, high temperatures, plenty of sunshine. So we're sure getting an early summer this year. Whether that means we'll get a bad late summer, I don't know. But it would be nice if we had a summer that went from almost spring right through until autumn, wouldn't it? Yes, it would indeed. And what a pity that it is that clear skies are over such gloom and doom in Westminster. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. MPs get themselves into such a tizzy, into such tangles. And frankly, I think all 650 of them should resign. And let's start afresh. And let's start to use some common sense in the way that we actually send people to Westminster. Forget ratios. Forget so many women, so many black people, so many gay people, so many upside down people, so many topsy-turvy people. Let us simply make one standard for every constituency around the country, whether it be Labour, Conservative, Liberal, Democrat, or anything else. Select the best person for the job and stop trying to balance it. I don't care whether all 650 MPs are lesbian women. If they are the very best people to represent us and to get on with running the country, then I'm for them. It is absolute fallacy to try and mix and match and get a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of the other. It is nonsense. It's rubbish. And the chickens are coming home to roost, because what we've got is almost 650 people who shouldn't be there, calling the shots. And what have they done? They have turned Parliament upside down. All because of a half bottle of champagne and an iced cake at Christmas. And not even this past Christmas. It's Christmas, 2 Christmases ago, during lockdown. And who are the people that have got us there? The people that voted themselves £13,000 because of the extra hard work they'd have to do because of COVID. The very people who are found guilty of feathering their own nests, left, right, and centre with MPs' expenses, and who, once caught out, waited for a little while and then reversed the decision to reform, so that we're right back now where we were before. And these are the people that dared to sit in judgment of one of their own. Doesn't matter whether you approve of Boris or not. Doesn't matter whether he's a flawed character or not. The fact is, you don't deal with people like that in an unfair way and in a nasty, vicious, selfish way. I have no respect for any MP, and in fact, I'm losing respect for any politician at all. There are some things that I would hate to admit that I did. One is a planner, but the other now is a politician. If I had to admit to that, I would feel a flush of shame run through me. Such, in my opinion, is their reputation trashed. And they continue to trash it. And I see no reason whatsoever why the rest of us should support this, either financially, morally, or substantially. It is all very wrong. It is all against moral justice. It is all against Christian thinking. And for that matter, half the other religions that we have in this country whose thinking are not much different, whose rules of decency and justice are much the same. It's just not on. So let's just see how they're getting themselves into a nasty, vicious, whipped up frenzy. Oh, and incidentally, the side issue here is that, led by Michael Heseltine, who, with all due respect, is a failed politician from the past, is these same people who are stomping around, being injudicious, being childish, and being naive, are the very people that are saying that Brexit has failed. Now, I'm not taking sides to Brexit one way or another, but it's done. We are out of Europe. And if we don't put our backs to it, it will fail. But if you're anti being out of Europe, consider several things before you open your mouth. Despite all its setbacks, the UK economy has grown. And the EU economy is officially in recession. Secondly, if you've ever worked in the continental European Union, or if you've ever worked for the EU, or if you've ever worked for an EU agency, you know very well that it is full of cronyism, patronage, corruption, and the sort of things that we that this lot in Westminster would whip their knickers just to get a go at having a go at. But no, they won't, because it's a question of Brexit. Before we make a decision, what I want to know is the anti-Brexiteers, have they been working towards reform of the European Union? Because until it's reformed, it is not worth belonging to. And you say, Keith, how can you say that? Well, I've done all those things. I've worked in the European Union. I've worked for the European Union. I've worked on European Union projects. And it has made such a mess of things. One wonders why anybody would want to belong to that club. I am not anti-European. On the contrary, I believe that a united Europe would be much stronger than it is at the moment. And over the Ukraine war, its weaknesses have been proved beyond doubt. But yes, it could be great. It could be good. But it needs drastic reform. And I don't see anybody who stomps up and down saying, let's rejoin, talking about reform. Normally, all they do is have a go at those people that pulled us out. If we don't start to get some sensible, straight thinking in this country, we are doomed. We are doomed. It calls for a lot of decent, sensible thinking. And not, as you will see in social media quite often, it's all the stinking Tories' fault. Or stinking Labour would have us there. That gets us nowhere. That's just venom. Those are just people that should not be venturing opinions. You may well say, Keith, you shouldn't vent an opinion. But the fact of the matter is, whenever we express opinions on this, it's virtually through my mouth or through Stuart Dalby's mouth. And we have both been there and we've done that. So anybody who wants to challenge us on our views had better have been there and done that and not sat on their fat backsides here looking at the thing academically. A good argument is a good argument, but it's got to be a good argument. The debate has got to be strong and vibrant, not emotional and undermining. So what's going on in the newspapers this morning over what's been going on in Westminster in the last 24 hours, much of it is emotional, evocative. What newspapers do, I suppose. But it is hardly looking at reality in terms of our situation vis-a-vis Europe or our situation in looking at Boris Johnson and ripping him apart. It is disgraceful in the extreme. And I'm ashamed to feel that my government can be part of it. So I say there are 650 of you. All of you resign and start over again. And actually, 80% of you don't bother to come back. You're a waste of bloody space. And all you would do is recreate the situation that is seeing our money stuffed into your pockets. And for what end? It is hard to tell. It is hard to tell. Anyway, the Times. End of the road for Johnson, it says. The Privileges Committee report into whether Mr. Johnson misled Parliament over rule breaking in Downing Street has been published, and it is damning. It is damning. It accuses the former Prime Minister of numerous breaches and recommends that, had he not quit the Commons before it had been released, a 90-day suspension imposed, that it would have forced him out. The Times calls it the end of the road for Johnson. Good for the Times. The Eye. He lied and lied and lied. He lied and lied and lied, reports the Eye newspaper. Its front page carries snippets from Mr. Johnson's responses to the report. He said the findings were deranged and its publication was a dreadful day for democracy. And I have to say that whether I support Boris or not that's not a question. Actually, I don't support anybody. Not right now, I don't. But the fact is that when he says it's a bad day for democracy, it is. It just shows that our system is weak. And unless we have reform, it will get weaker. And the people running the country will get poorer in quality. At a time when the whole of the universe is in a parlous state. That's all we need. Idiots at the top. The Financial Times. Johnson's repeated lies to MPs condemned in a searing report. The FT picks out the line from the report which sums up its core finding. He deliberately misled the House on an issue of the greatest importance, and did so repeatedly. While the judgment casts doubt on whether he can ever stage a political comeback, the paper reports, it notes that some Tory MPs have publicly defended the ex-PM. And from those reports, not on front pages this morning, it seems as if there is a gathering storm by those people, at least some of whom have got some idea of what justice is all about. That aren't pretending that they are cleaner than clean, squeakier than squeak. The Daily Telegraph. Johnson allies vow to oust MPs who vote for his censure. Well, it's a fight back, but who needs this sort of stuff? We always knew that Boris was going to be controversial. What a wonderful way to make this controversy for his opponents, but not for the country, not for us. You are idiots in the extreme. And I would love to see you tender your resignations. You have lost the confidence of much of the public. You've lost the confidence of many of your colleagues. Get out while the going is good for you. That's what Boris is doing. The Daily Mail. A Tory revolt over vindictive bid to banish Boris. MPs and grassroots activists left furious after spiteful Partygate report calls for ex-PM to be effectively barred from Parliament. The Mail also leads on the reaction from Tory MPs who have backed Mr. Johnson and think the committee's conduct has been vindictive. Its front page also teases the announcement of the Mail's new mystery columnist from tomorrow. It says they say they'll be required reading in Westminster. Could it be? Who's their new mystery columnist? I missed that a bit. But also on the front page is that Glenda Jackson, actress and MP, and as it says, like no other, has passed away. We're beginning to miss or lose lots of iconic figures. We've just lost one in Lewis, Stephen Catlin. We're losing them nationally and internationally as well. The Metro. Partygate report bashes Boris. Is a proper whopper a career stopper? The Metro's front page headline from when Mr. Johnson told the Partygate inquiry he hadn't told Parliament, in its words, proper whoppers. The inquiry has concluded he did. And now Metro asks whether the proper whopper is a career stopper. He says his hopes of a political comeback are now hanging in the balance. I said that about Churchill. Anything is possible up there. But that's the pity of it. They shouldn't get themselves into this state in the first place. And they did it deliberately. Lots of this could have been done behind closed doors. It wasn't. They strutted their stuff on the stage at a time when we're at war, at a time when the cost of living crisis has not been resolved, at a time when inflation continues to be a problem, at a time when immigration continues to be a problem. An iced cake and a half bottle of champagne. The Daily Star. It always gives me a smile. And I have to say that it has today on the Boris thing. It's got a picture of Boris with a great big long nose down to a red button. And it says, it's official. Pinocchio is an absolute lying wazzock. Oh dear. But it puts the right tone on it. It's a nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. The Star covers the Partygate report in its own usual colourful style. Mr. Johnson, described by the paper as an absolutely lying wazzock, is portrayed as Pinocchio. It reads, a liar sacked from previous jobs for lying has been found guilty of lying as the Prime Minister. But the liar claims the people call him a liar are liars. The big liar. Oh dear. I love those people down at the Star. They actually understand what newspapers are about. The Daily Express also has as its banner Glenda Jackson, fearless actor and politician. Glenda Jackson dies aged 87. But then it goes on to headline the most spiteful stitch-up in history of politics. That's how the Express describes the report's conclusions. It devotes its front page to an editorial attacking the findings, accusing the authors of hounding Mr. Johnson from Westminster. Along with several other papers, the Express pictures Glenda Jackson, the actor and former Labour MP, who has died at 87. The Mirror. Judgment Day for Johnson. He'll tell you it's a witch hunt. He'll tell you it's democracy betrayed. He'll tell you he did nothing wrong. But just one word tells his story. Liar. And since the Mirror supports the Labour Party, who are no better, none of them. Party politics is a blight on democracy because they get entrenched and can only act within that entrenched view. There's no flexibility. There is no, perhaps that's right and perhaps this is wrong. None. And that's why we get such poor governance. Such very poor governance. And we have no statespeople, no statespersons, no statesman, we used to say. We have nobody who stands out as leader. We have no leadership. We have no ability to carry people with them. We have nobody at the top who is willing to take unpopular decisions and stick with them because they think it's right. We have nothing. We have absolutely nothing. The Guardian. He misled Parliament, undermined democracy, complicit in abuse of MPs, the verdict on Johnson. Well, the Guardian, we would expect that. Unfortunately, the Guardian is not what newspapers should be made of. The main image and headline are dedicated to the Johnson report, with the front page of The Guardian carrying a story on the sinking of a boat carrying hundreds of people off the coast of Greece. It's feared that as many as 750 migrants may have been aboard the boat when it disappeared under the water. That's the sad part of the asylum-seeking process. The Sun. Human rights outrage. Belfield can marry in prison. Fury over his £30,000 legal aid, and he demands an engagement ring. Well, that story is about a totally different angle. The serial sex killer Lee Belfield. The paper claims that the 55-year-old monster, quote, is set to be given permission to marry in jail. The notorious murderer is serving a life sentence at Franklin, a category A prison in County Durham. Well, those are the front pages, and I think I've made my views absolutely clear. We're just in a period of weak governance, of indecisive and nasty, mean, vicious MPs, all 650 of them. And if we put it that way, all 650, that way, if there are those that are worthwhile, we can start counting backwards. But if we started to count the other way, it'd be a long time before we came to a quorum of decent people to sit in the House of Commons out of the present lot. So my view is sack the lot of them. No, don't sack them. Ask them as a matter of honour to fall on their sword and start again. We're in a dreadful, dreadful situation. Right, okay. I started off with, it's hot out there. Let's take a look at the detail of what the weather is all about. Well, first of all, as I said to you, it's 18 degrees at the moment and mostly sunny. It started off fairly warm this morning, 13 degrees. It wasn't supposed to reach 20. Well, it's reaching 20 at about 9 o'clock, where we're 2 minutes away from 9 o'clock. It's supposed to reach 20, and where is it standing at 18? Not very far off. But generally speaking, it's going to hit 25 at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Gently increasing from now to 10 o'clock, 22, 11 o'clock, 23, 12 o'clock, 24, 1 o'clock, 24, before peaking at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock at 25, and staying that way until 4 o'clock before beginning to ease off again for a cooler evening. And tomorrow, it's going to be about the same. Sunday, we can expect some rain and a little cooler, down to 20. But Monday, it's going to start to rise again to 21. Tuesday, 22. Wednesday, 22. And Thursday, 23, 23, 23, 24 next weekend. So we're not going to lose too much in terms of a summery weather. Not at the moment. We're not. Right, okay. Let's see if there is anything that we should actually look at from a news point of view locally. Let's see. Breaking news is, well, it says read the full story. I can't even see what the story is. An update on plans to scrap free prescriptions. As my understanding is that a plan to take away free prescriptions between people 60 and 65 was on the cards. But everyone aged 60 and over will continue to receive free prescriptions. The government confirmed that today. The announcement comes in response to a consultation launched by the Department of Health and Social Care in 2021, looking at whether the age-free prescriptions become available should be aligned with the state pension age, which is currently 66. However, it has now said this will not happen. It said this was after it took a number of factors into account, including current cost of living and increased medical needs due to an aging population. So there you are. That's some good news, at least. Let's see. What else have we got there? Breaking news. No, it's there's nothing more. The rest is let's see. Concern for a missing Sussex woman last seen over 3 weeks ago. A new Sussex restaurant giving away 500 free pizzas to celebrate its opening. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The finger got away with them in there. Music University students stage protests as appalling staff cuts loom. And the A23 tunnel near Gatwick Airport is set to close for lighting works. And residents urged to use most appropriate services during the junior doctors' strike. Oh, God, there they go. More strikes. Strikes are sort of getting lost. We're still strike-bound in this country. And they're coming and going, and they're disrupting life. But they're there. They're there as a matter of course. Goodness gracious me. I've been going on. It's 2 minutes past 9. I shall scuttle off. I'll be gone for now 28 minutes. Then I'll be back with another episode, the final episode of the bloody past of a tiny town, which we've been running for the last 2 weeks. And it's been a very popular program. For those people who love this town and like to find out a little bit more about what they may have missed, even though they've been here a lifetime. And for the many people who are now coming in to live here and need to know or want to know some of its secrets. The bloody past of a tiny town on in 25 minutes now. Yes, just about 25 minutes. For a moment, toodle pip.